All right, welcome to chapter 14. We are starting to finalize the class here. Something we wanted to go ahead and touch over before we start preparing for the final is Introduction to Graphing in R. So, Introduction to Graphing in R. Something we want to go ahead and define is a coordinate vector is a representation of a vector as an ordered list of numbers that describes the vector in terms of a particular ordered basis. Most of you have probably seen this from a mathematical standpoint, and it's something we're going to be utilizing within the graphing capabilities of R. To start off with, you want to load the package ggplot2 into the environment. qplot is found within the ggplot2 library. It is a common graphing package used in many fields of study, commonly used to make quick plots to visualize your data. So sometimes you want to inspect your data in a quick and dirty way. You don't want to put too much detail into the graphing. You just want to see that the distribution is what you would expect. And qplot is a perfect example of when to use this. Since we are creating plots, you will need at least two vectors to plot on a plane. Logically, you want an x and a y plane to be able to be graphed. So here we can create a set of values to plot for x as you would with any other vector, and you're going to repeat with y. So use the command qplot to graph the vectors that were created at the previous step. Another method to plot data is by using the generic function plot in R. Your minimum parameters here is going to be an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Instead of qplot, we're going to use plot and pass in the x and y value just as we did in qplot. So the results will be very similar in nature. So there's other parameters that can be used in plot. And here we see right from the documentation of what can be done. Sometimes you're going to want to specify what type of plot. Here we see them outlined, and the letters in bold should help you remember which ones it is. But typically you want to go ahead and just open up the documentation if you can't remember off the top of your head. Sometimes the graphing capabilities of multiple libraries can get confusing, so it's hard to remember which arguments are passed with certain libraries. The most common graphing library in R is the ggplot2 package. It offers a variety of graphs, visual manipulation tools, and simple syntax for graphing. The syntax here is going to be ggplot2, your x data, your y data, and AES function. I'll dive into that in just one moment. So the result of the code offered on the official R documentation results in a scatter plot from the empty cars dataset. So it does go ahead and create a scatter plot for you, but let me backtrack here because this graph's a little different than the one you saw with qplot. You see colors and you see a legend there. Well, what happens here is that the AES argument stands for aesthetics. The aesthetics here allows you to manipulate how the graph is going to look. So if you take a look on the code to your right, you've got ggplot as your function. Your data will be the miles per gallon, and we're going to go ahead and make the aesthetics function and pass the arguments of the display, the highway, and the color of each scatter will be the class of each object. Something you'll see here that's interesting as well that you don't see with qplot or plot immediately is that plus sign. You're going to want to go ahead and add that with g on point. That's going to go ahead and dictate that it is a scatter plot that you will be making, which is what you see here on the right. Now, something that's incredibly useful that I use all the time is these data visualization cheat sheets or R Studio cheat sheets. You can go ahead and go on R Studio website. There are numerous cheat sheets for different libraries that you can go ahead and use. So if you have something in mind that you are trying to create but don't know off the top of your head what the functions are or how to put them together, this cheat sheet will go ahead and be your best friend in that case because it outlines how to do the grand majority of visualization and manipulations and the type of arguments that are passed through. So go ahead and download this. It will save you a lot of time and effort in the beginning when learning how to use ggplot for graphing.